welcome back to my channel. Let us talk data. My name is Anika, aka Cybernika, and I know, guys, I know I have been MIA for a while, and that's just because life has been lifing lately. I was working on like a couple things with my previous company, as well as my daughter had to change school for her because she got injured at her prior school. So we had to go ahead and change school for her. Also, I, right after that was back to school. And then also I am currently working in a new role as a cybersecurity engineer again, but this time with a different company. And I was just taking the time to, get myself familiar, get myself in tune with this new organization, as well as trying to understand their assets, their most valuable assets, their data, how to protect it, and so on and so forth. When you start a new role, you have so much things that you are introduced to and you have to get up to date and familiar with. So as a result, I've been slightly busy, but not too busy for you guys. I'm here today because I have been getting a lot of what's going on with those videos, why haven't we seen any new videos, and so much more, right? So I decided today to come on here and to do a follow-up video. Basically, it's not necessarily going to be piggybacking off of what we did in our prior video, because as you remember, in our previous video we talked about data, but specifically we talked about data in the sense that it is all around us. Data is everywhere. In every little thing that you do, you can find data. Today, I want to take a step further, and I want to talk about data in the business sense, right? I want to help you understand the types of data. And in our case, we classify the data in a business environment, as well as how we determine what type of data is which, as well as how we protect these data in the business environment. So stay tuned, guys. That's what we're going to be focusing on today. If you haven't yet, go ahead and click that like button. Also subscribe to our channel, and also share our video with someone that you may think is interested in our content, as well as someone who is willing to learn a little bit more about data, because after all, it is all around us. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. So as mentioned earlier, we are going to be talking about data in the business sense, in the business environment, in an organization, so on and so forth, right? So within the business or an organization, I would say there are three classifications to the type of data that the business or the company has. So there are three categories or three classifications that I normally use when trying to classify data. The first you have is public data. That's one classification or one category. And then you have confidential data. And then finally, we have data that is considered secret. And these data are normally sensitive, right? So in the sense of public data, as the name suggests, this is data or information that is already out there on a company, on a business, that you can just, with the click of a button, go into Google and search, and then you can find this information. So this is information or data that cannot harm the company or the organization if it should get into the hands of a hacker or anyone that of malicious intent, right? So for example, if you Google this company, AccuPros LLC, the AccuPros, right? One of the things you'll see is that AccuPros is a bookkeeping / accounting firm, and you can see their address, which is public information, their contact information, public information, and so on and so forth. You can see the type of services that they offer, amongst others. You can also see if the company wish to publish on their social media page, their Facebook page, wherever, any information that they may post about their company that is public. So if they had made donation to a particular foundation, right, and they decided to share these photos, share this information, then it would be considered public information. So, in a nutshell, public data is anything that is public, anything that anyone can go research and find out about the company, right? And then following that, you have confidential data, right? And that, as the name suggests too, it is anything that is kept confidential within the organization or within the business. So a perfect example is when you apply for a role or a job, they normally require you throughout your onboarding process to share certain personal information. In our world, we call this the personal identifiable information, PII, right? And what happens with some of these example of this data would be your maybe your social security number, your driver's license number, your personal address, personal contact information, things of that nature, right? So in the sense, this is considered confidential data because it is, even though you shared with the business or the company when you're onboarding, it is expected that the company is going to keep this data confidential, because if at any given time your personal data, personal identifiable information, gets into the wrong hands, then it can compromise your data, and in a sense it could cause harm to you or your family, right? I know that if you pay attention to the news a lot lately, one of the things you have been seeing in the cybersecurity world is where companies are being hacked, and you are hearing that millions or hundreds of thousands of the company's data was leaked, and the customer's information was a target, and it was leaked onto the dark web, or it's been shared here and it's been shared there. That's one of the reasons why companies are supposed to have policies in place to protect your confidential information, or the information that is confidential in their organization. So AT&T was recently hacked, and customers' personal data, confidential data, was leaked. And so they wanted to let us know that this had happened so that we could, one, ensure that we signed up for like credit monitoring, basically, because if our personal and confidential data is leaked, that means that whomever leaked this information, or whomever they share this information with or share this data with, have access now to our most valuable asset or confidential asset, right? And so our social security number is out there, or address or phone number, all the things that you use on a daily basis to transact business, to purchase a home, to purchase a house, to purchase your car, to purchase valuable asset. So your confidential data is out there. And so one of the things that you're encouraged to do throughout this is to do credit monitoring. And businesses can get big fines for allowing or confidential information or personal information to be leaked. There are several fines that they can encounter from the GDPR, basically. So in a nutshell, that is what confidential information is, and that is how serious it is when it is leaked. And one way for the company to protect this information is to ensure that they have policies in place to ensure that this doesn't happen. They are making sure that they are doing their normal patching, they're updating their policies to make sure that things of this nature doesn't happen. All right, so enough about confidential data. So our next classification is or secret, which is our sensitive secret data, right? And this data in the business sense is data that the business do not want to be leaked at any given time. This is considered their most valuable assets in our world. That's what we call it, or most valuable asset. So if at any given time this data leaves their environment, it can cause severe harm to the business, to their reputation, to future plans that they may have for mergers and all of that stuff. these are the data that they hold dearly to their heart. This is Most businesses consider this data as their crown jewels. So, like when you look at the Buckingham Palace and you have the guards out there guarding the gate, yes, that is what we as security engineers have to do to prevent any data of this nature from leaving or being transmitted throughout the environment. So, a good example of this is, say, for instance, Chick-fil-A, right? We all know what Chick-fil-A is. They have the best chicken sandwich, and nobody can tell me otherwise, okay? So, yeah. So, I would think, for example, one of Chick-fil-A's most valuable asset has to be their recipe, right? Because nobody else's chicken sandwich don't taste like Chick-fil-A, right? So, in this sense, Chick-fil-A ensures that whatever data they have on this sandwich is protected, because if at any given time the data is leaked to their competitors, then guess what? The competitors is going to be making Chick-fil-A sandwich, and now the competition is no more, right? Another good example of this is in the event of a company merger, right? A lot of times the competitors are out there snooping around, sending people out, hackers out to go sneak out this information so that they can prevent a merger, or they can mess with the whole flow of the merger, which could potentially lead to bankruptcy for the company. It could lead to the employees losing their job if this merger doesn't go through and they've already invested so much money into it. So it's things like that why companies ensure that their most valuable asset, their crown jewels, is protected. And so policies are put in place whereby no user of any sort can transmit any data that has that has a sensitive data tagged on that data. Policies are created daily. The policies are updated. They are consistently being monitored to ensure that nothing of this nature leaves their environment. All right, so with that said, guys, I was able to help you understand the 3 classifications of data, especially within the business or in an organization. I do hope that this clarifies a lot of questions that you may have. And if you do have additional questions, you can leave these down into the comment, and I will go through when I get the time, look through, and I'll make comments to respond to you guys. The next episode, I can't tell you what that's going to be about. However, if you stay tuned, then you will not be disappointed. Once again, guys, thank you so much for joining me on Let Us Talk Data. It feels so good to be back. Yes, it does feel good to be back. So, as I said before, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet, so that you can keep up to date with the upcoming content. I have so much more in store for you guys. So, once again, thank you for joining me on Let Us Talk Data.